Hi, Sam Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services, and we are back with the next viewer request. Just in the Nick of Time by Walter Hawkins. This is one that I did not learn in my early days as a musician, but just in listening to it, I could hear the chord patterns that I am familiar with. Now, as you know, when I do a viewer request, I try to help musicians to get or to grasp the music as it sounds from the original recording. So I'm glad we have an actual album version. I will put a link in the description of where I'm getting this video from. Key of G flat is where we will be working from. And as you can see, I always stress opening up your practice session of a song that you want to learn in the scales that you're in. Now, the request for the breakdown is beginner to intermediate, which is why I'm going to take a little more time than I normally would so that I can help build the skill sets of our viewer who requested this. So in listening to the song, we always want to look for our baseline chords, and you get those again from the major scale. For those who are number system users, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 once again. And you will find that these chords mimic the scale notes in a chord format, which means you can extend them out and of course add more extension to that. Let me see. And that is how chords for these type of songs are formed. They take take the scale, they extend it out into the number system chords, and then they build spacing of the chords and then fill it in with other chords. So now let's hear the opening. I can't add too much, but let's give you the opening because these chords will come back in the song. Go to the beginning. You should be able to hear this. Here we go. So let me stop right there. What we're looking for, and this again, this is to help the viewer who wanted a beginner to intermediate version. Look at the scale, the final note. Right in the scales. So all it is now, we want to find the chords. Diminished chord, minor chord, a major chord with a flat 7. Now this chord is changes here, or again, extending the chord out. So, and these chords are going to come back. So you want to look at now, how did it start? Diminished chord. This is intermediate, the beginner to intermediate. We'll give you right there. That's the chord, but we're going to make it shorter. Or I'm trying to find another way of getting that chord. Gotta have that bottom. Again, the lowest note, which is the bass note, for me determines the number system placement. So this would be sharp 1, 2, 5, back to the sharp 1, right? 1 sharp or 2 flat. All right, let's listen a little more. Okay, these are the Hawkins chords. Right, remember the scale? or could be there also if you're following the melody. There's your scale chords or scale notes, and these chords is in the scale, but this changed half a step away from the scale. That's in the scale. This one is not. It's going to show it's going to resolve right here. Let's listen a little bit. So we've got let me see. There we go. That's that chord we're changing to. So for our viewer, what you want to do is to find the chords using the scale notes and then build it from there. Let me see. It's going to switch and go to a turn chord. That's what's coming up. Watch. Again, these notes are in the scale, but this note is not. And again, these chords are going to come back, which is why I'm spending a little time from the intro. Let's continue. And now turn on the 5. Scales, for me, are the way to learn song. Let's continue. All right, so now we're listening to the choir vocals to get our chords. That's your choir vocals, so that's where your chords are going to coming from. So your chord is going to be right here. Again, this chord is in the not, but a little tension. Because our choir vocals are going into this note, which means your chord has to have that chord in it. Or you can take it out. Let's continue from there. So just in the nick of time. So you're still right there. Just in the nick of time. Let me see. What are the choir voicing? Just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time. So your chords are going to be held while the vocals are singing, but you need to know where the vocal chords are going so that you know the chord that you are applying supports the vocals. And again, this is for beginner to intermediate. Let's continue. So here comes our changes. Remember the intro? We gave it the first part. Let's continue. There's our chord. So what we did in the intro. Let's continue. So the same chords. As I say, the intro chords are going to come back. So we've already covered that. Let's continue. Let's see what else is coming up.
Come on, everybody, put your hands together. He came.
If you want to do some movement. Mm-hmm. Right in the chord. All right, let's continue. It's probably going to repeat. We're going to skip that. Okay, let's go ahead a little further. Okay, so we got chord changes now. Let's see what we got. Let's go back a little bit more. Okay, let's go back a little more. Just to the nickel. Okay, so now we're in our chords. Lost in my sins. That's the passing tones. Again, the passing tone is for our beginner to intermediate. This chord you want to get familiar with because you're going to find hundreds of gospel songs use this change of this era. Even Kirk Franklin still uses it today. Let's continue. So we've got a pattern. We'll cover that change back up a little bit. So that's a pattern. What you're looking for is what is the pattern? What is this? Sharp 4 or flat 5 to the 4 to the 3. And these are the John P. Key chords. 6, 2, 5, 1. Repeat. This chord can be added. Watch how I'm just flowing through, holding it, chain. And it's all because the song has a rhythm and timing to it. I'm just giving you the chords. You're going to work on that with the practicing with it. Okay, let's go past that point. Let's see what else we have that may be different. Because the chords are now becoming repetitive patterns. Okay, so that's still the same. Again, once you establish where the chords are, you can now musically attack them or pull back. And by attack, I mean you're going to add a little bit more movement to it. That is attacking the pattern. And that is only learned by doing this and then picking the notes you want to apply. Let's go ahead a little further because the chords are becoming repetitive now. Okay, so we've got a new pattern. Let's see what we got. All right, go a little bit further back. Okay, so now we got a turn chord. And that is your turn chord on the 6. Now, a natural 6 chord is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in this case, we are turning on that chord. This is why I talk to the number system. I don't teach it because the number system helps the bass player play the correct single note. But from a chord standpoint, it can be anything in the sixth. They're going to be going to the 2 chord now. Now we'll listen to where it's going to take it to it. So we went from here, from the 6th. We're in the 2 format. We turned on the 6th. See how close these chords are? They're not far to reach. For the tritone lovers. But when you build the chord out, and that's where it's going to resolve. Just in the nick of time. Now that's the changeover, which we've already covered. You just back up a little bit and lead you right into that portion. Okay, now when you start asking for a beginner to intermediate breakdown, there are so many chords in this song and so much movement. I've got to disseminate what I can show you and sort of take away from what the chords are doing. So just in the nick of time, turn. Let me see. That chord is coming up. I believe that is the chord they threw there. Let me just listen. Okay, let me give me a chance. Let me just disseminate where they're going. I use that chord too. There it is. That's the chord I'm looking for. So these chords are right there. It's just a matter of finding what scale they're in. Let me see. Half a step down on your bass from a 4 to a 3, but that's not a 3 chord. This is 1, 2, 1. That's a 3 chord, but this chord is what's being substituted in the 3, because you're going to get to this result, which if you took my course on the circle of fourths and circle of fifths, it's the circle of fourths going up or circle of fifth going down. And that chord comes back in there again, and it's going to resolve, I believe, there. Let's look at this, listen.
Praise the Lord, for he came to my rescue. Oh, yes, he did. And I want to praise the Lord for loving me.
Okay, so there's a lot of movement of chords happening there. So what you're looking for is the easiest chords to first, the easiest chords to apply first. Again, when you listen to the actual um, video, you will hear the intricate movement, but I'm giving you beginner to intermediate, which means you got to know the scales, not just the major, but the minor scales, harmonic minor, because they are borrowing notes from those chords. And all the minor scale does is give you that classical sound. Which is the diminished sound, or in some cases, the major seventh sound, flat seventh sound. Let's continue. So we're back into E can. Continue right there. So and they're giving you these big jazz chords. It's just the same chord down here, just extended out, which is why I say practice scales more than one octave, so you can hear when they go out, those extended notes, chords. Tritone again. All right, let's continue. We're halfway through the song. All right, we covered those chords already. Let's continue further ahead. And I got to break this up because YouTube does not like it when I use uh, videos in my presentations because they can hear it and the algorithm says should not, you don't have permission to use that in your video. So I have to keep stopping it and have conversation and talk in between to give the algorithm a threshold to say there is something else besides the music playing. So let me just go back over some of those chords. So dun, 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 there it is. Just in the nick of time. Okay, we can listen a little more now. Let's pick what else we can pick up from the video. All right, so now we're into another pattern with the same chords. Short pattern. This is the easiest way to look at this. And that's where we are right now. So that's where our chords are right now. If you learned the song, I call it "Safe in His Arm," uses these same chords. I'm so glad He shall hide me. Again, these chords, whether these in this era, whatever songs came out during this era, everybody borrowed a piece of another song's chord pattern. That's why when I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, I know these chords. Don P. Key, um, who else used these chords? Walter Hawkins, of course. Um, the Chicago Mass Choir, that big band sound, the big band sound. That was the era of this music. All right, let's listen a little more, guys. I think this is where the vamp happens. All right, so those are we're near the end of the song. So these are the chords that are now that are prominent. So you've gotten what I give on the viewer request breakdowns. 70 to 80% of the chords, well, because you said that you want a beginner to intermediate friendly. As I say, for me, a beginner knows that scales exist. Intermediate knows how to disseminate the chords from not just one set of scales, but all of the generic scales, which is the major, minor, minor harmonic, the jazz minor, um, the bebop scale. Why? Because that bebop scale has this chord in it. This so that you can get this chord. As I say, if you know the scales and you practice them, any song you listen to, you can immediately find the chords they're using because they got that chord from a scale. All right, Sam Tober, Sound of Joy Music Services. As always, if you do appreciate these videos, don't forget to